Be me, Alex, Senior Operations Coordinator for Metro Transit Services, or MTS. My office is a sea of grey cubicles and flickering fluorescent lights, the air heavy with the ghosts of 1,000 frustrated commuters and the drone of the old scheduling servers. I've been here 12 years. I know every bus route, every operator's coffee preference, and every ancient line of code that keeps this city moving. Be not me, Blake Carrington, VP of Operational Synergy. This title means absolutely nothing. Blake arrived 6 months ago, parachuted in from his father's buddy, the mayor's chief of staff. Blake is 28, has an MBA from a school no one's heard of, and a trust fund bigger than my pension. He talks exclusively in venture capitalist buzzwords and has never once stepped foot on a public bus. Blake's first grand initiative landed a month after his arrival. He wanted to implement an AI-driven predictive rider demand system. He called it Odyssey. This system, he insisted, would dynamically adjust bus routes and operator assignments based on real-time social media trends and synergistic algorithms. We had human schedulers, seasoned veterans, who knew the city's pulse better than any algorithm. They knew rush hour wasn't just about traffic. It was about school bells, factory shifts, and the rhythm of specific neighborhoods. I tried to explain. I presented data showing that Odyssey's initial simulations sent buses on ghost routes or completely skipped high-demand areas. The system kept trying to route buses through the zoo on a Tuesday afternoon because a minor league baseball team's Twitter mentioned animals. Blake just leaned back in his ergonomic chair, a smug smile plastered on his face. "Alex," he'd said, his voice dripping with condescension, "you're stuck in the past. We're innovating, disrupting. The future is now." He mandated a full rollout within 6 weeks, dismissing all our concerns as resistance to progress. My reports, detailing critical flaws and potential service disruptions, went unread or at least unacknowledged. His next brilliant idea was the gamified operator performance tracker. Blake wanted all bus and train operators to download a proprietary MTS app onto their personal phones. This app would track their speed, punctuality, turns, and even their passenger satisfaction ratings, gleaned from an automated survey system Blake was also implementing. The data would then be publicly displayed on leaderboards in the break rooms. I pointed out that this violated at least 3 clauses in the union contract regarding personal device usage for work and employee privacy. I explained the security risks of integrating personal phones with sensitive operational data. I drafted memos citing City Labor Code 14B, which specifically prohibits mandating personal equipment for tracking. Blake just waved his hand. "Details, Alex, minor adjustments. We'll offer a nominal monthly stipend, $15. They'll love it. It's about engagement." He looked at me with an air of profound wisdom, as if he'd just discovered fire. My legal warnings were filed away, ignored. The union rep, Brenda, just looked at me with world-weary eyes after our joint meeting with Blake, shaking her head. "He's a special kind of stupid, isn't he, Alex?" she'd muttered. I could only nod. The final straw, the prelude to the complete meltdown, concerned the automated scheduling system itself. Odyssey, Blake's AI brainchild, was meant to fully automate the complex dance of matching operators to routes and vehicles, replacing a system that had been painstakingly refined over decades by human experts. It was still in beta, and in every limited test run, it had displayed glaring inefficiencies, creating impossible schedules, leaving expensive vehicles idle for hours, or assigning drivers to 2 routes simultaneously across opposite ends of the city. We flagged these issues with increasingly urgent internal reports. I personally sent Blake daily summaries of system failures, attaching screenshots of buses assigned to the same block of pavement for a 12-hour shift. Blake's response was always the same. "Teething issues, Alex. Human error. Once the operators are fully integrated, the system will self-correct." He pushed the full launch date forward, demanding it be operational before the next quarterly report. His father's political career was apparently tied to Blake's successful modernization of MTS. My team's repeated warnings, formal change requests, and requests for additional manual oversight during the transition period were not just denied. They were openly ridiculed by Blake in department-wide emails. He called them fear-mongering. The breaking point arrived with an email notification pushed through late on a Friday afternoon, bypassing all department heads. The subject line: urgent, revised PTO policy for Q4. I opened it, a knot forming in my stomach. Blake Carrington, VP of Operational Synergy, had unilaterally cancelled all approved personal time off for the entire upcoming quarter. Every vacation day, every doctor's appointment, every planned leave of absence was revoked. The reason given was critical system rollout and operational needs. He claimed the entire workforce was needed on deck to ensure a seamless transition to the new Odyssey system. Chaos erupted. My phone started ringing off the hook. Operators called in, furious, panicked. Many had non-refundable travel plans, medical appointments, or family obligations. The union immediately filed an emergency grievance. I tried to reach Blake, but he'd already clocked out, presumably for a long weekend, having unleashed this managerial hand grenade. He left a curt voicemail on my desk line. "Alex, make sure your team understands the urgency. We need all hands on deck for Odyssey. Any resistance will be seen as undermining company objectives." His tone was smug, oblivious to the widespread anger he had just ignited. That weekend, my mind raced. The PTO cancellation wasn't just about morale. It was about critical staffing levels. The few operators who had received training on Odyssey were now being told they couldn't take their much-needed rest. Veteran operators, who were the only ones capable of manually overriding the old system if Odyssey failed, were equally trapped. Blake, in his infinite ignorance, had just removed the emergency brakes. He had taken our already strained human resources, broken their spirit, and then tied our entire operation to his untested, buggy, AI-driven fantasy. And if it failed, I knew precisely who he would blame. The old guard, the resistors, meaning me and my team. That weekend was a turning point. I stopped arguing. I stopped trying to educate Blake. Instead, I went read-only. My new mission was simple: document everything. I arrived early Monday morning, armed with a fresh ream of printer paper and a determination colder than the server room. Every email from Blake, every directive, every dismissive comment, every policy override, it all got archived. I printed out every one of my own formal warnings and Blake's subsequent email replies dismissing them. I cross-referenced everything. The first binder was for direct orders and policy overrides. This contained Blake's insistence on the Odyssey rollout despite critical failures, his mandate for the operator app against union rules, and his specific instructions to disable the human override safety protocols in the old system's interface to prevent any last-minute meddling by resistance staff. Each email, each instruction, was time-stamped and signed by Blake digitally. The second binder was formal warnings and risk assessments. This compiled every single memo, report, and email I or my team had sent, detailing the known flaws of Odyssey, the security risks of the app, and the critical staffing shortages that would result from the PTO cancellation. Each warning was also time-stamped and referenced specific articles in the MTS Employee Handbook, City Charter 7, Section 3, regarding public transit operator workload regulations, and Union Contract Appendix B, Clause 12, on personal device usage for work. These were all official documents, legally binding. I meticulously documented the training logs. Only 20% of operators had completed the mandatory, rushed, and often glitchy Odyssey training module. Of those, less than 5% felt proficient. The remaining 80% relied on the old, familiar system. With PTO cancelled, there was no way to get the necessary training hours in for everyone before the mandated launch date. Blake, of course, had signed off on the accelerated, inadequate training schedule. That went into Binder 3, Training Deficiencies and Staffing Impact. I started making copies of everything, storing digital versions on a secure, encrypted drive, and printing physical copies. 3 full binders sat under my desk ready. My colleagues thought I was just doing due diligence. I let them believe it. My silence was not submission, it was preparation. Every interaction with Blake, every email from him, was a step closer to the inevitable. My internal monologue was no longer about preventing disaster. It was about ensuring that when disaster struck, the blame would land squarely where it belonged. The week of the Odyssey launch was a suffocating descent into corporate madness. Blake was a whirlwind of self-congratulation. He'd booked a massive launch party, complete with a ribbon-cutting ceremony, and the mayor scheduled to speak. Meanwhile, the operations floor was a barely contained inferno of stress. Operators, denied their holidays, were showing up exhausted and resentful. They were wrestling with the new gamified performance tracker app on their phones, which consistently crashed, froze, or displayed incorrect routes. The few who had actually learned the Odyssey system were struggling with its counterintuitive interface. Then came the day, Monday morning, 6 a.m., the official launch. The screens in the control room, normally a calm tapestry of green-lit routes, began to flicker red. One by one, bus IDs disappeared from the map. Routes vanished. Operators called in frantic. My schedule just wiped itself. The system says I'm supposed to be driving 2 buses at once. My bus is parked, but Odyssey says I'm halfway across the city. The city woke up to chaos. Commuters stood at bus stops that would never see a bus. Schools were missed. Businesses were late. Call center lines exploded. The metro transit system, the lifeblood of our city, had hemorrhaged. Blake Carrington, resplendent in a tailored suit, stormed onto the operations floor, his face a mask of furious disbelief. He spotted me, calm amidst the storm, on the phone, trying to manually reroute an abandoned express line. "Alex," he roared, his voice echoing over the frantic din. "What in the hell is going on here? Your department, this incompetence is unacceptable." I slowly hung up the phone, meeting his gaze. "The Odyssey system, Mr. Carrington," I stated, my voice even, "is operating exactly as you configured it." "Nonsense," he shrieked. "It's buggy, it's broken. Fix it, Alex. This is your job." "My job," I replied, "is to ensure the smooth operation of metro transit. But my instructions were to fully implement your new system, precisely as you dictated, overriding all prior human checks and balances." He scoffed. "And what does that have to do with this meltdown? This is clearly a lack of oversight from your team." "On the contrary, Mr. Carrington," I said, a dangerous calm settling over me. I walked to my cubicle and pulled out the 3 binders. I placed them deliberately on the nearest clear desk space. "This," I announced, tapping the first binder, "is a record of every direct order you issued, overriding safety protocols and demanding the premature launch of Odyssey despite its known flaws." I opened it to a highlighted email. "Here, your instruction to disable manual intervention in the legacy system. Your words, to prevent any last-minute meddling by resistant staff." Blake's face paled. He sputtered. That's taken out of context. I simply meant..." I cut him off, my voice gaining strength. "This," I continued, gesturing to the second binder, "contains all formal warnings and risk assessments from my department, detailing the critical failures of Odyssey during beta, the legal and privacy issues of your operator app, and the severe staffing shortages that would result from your unilateral PTO cancellation." I flipped to a specific memo, dated the Friday before. This one, specifically, warned that cancelling PTO would leave us without enough trained personnel to manually manage a system failure. "You signed off on its dismissal." He stammered, his eyes darting around the room, which had now grown eerily quiet as my colleagues listened. "Those were just standard bureaucratic objections. You're trying to shift blame." "And this," I concluded, tapping the third binder, "documents the woefully inadequate training schedule you approved, leaving 80% of our operators unprepared for this system. Coupled with the PTO cancellation, it ensured that even if they wanted to learn, they couldn't." I met his furious gaze, a faint smile touching my lips. "The system is functioning precisely as per your direct, time-stamped, and documented instructions, Mr. Carrington. The consequences, therefore, are also precisely as predicted and documented." The news vans were parked outside MTS headquarters before noon. By early afternoon, the mayor's office released a statement calling the situation unacceptable and promising a full investigation. The city council immediately called an emergency session. The union filed an injunction demanding reinstatement of PTO and a full review of all of Blake's innovations. I watched from the operations floor window as two stern-faced security guards escorted a very quiet, very pale Blake Carrington out of the building. His tailored suit looked a little rumpled, his face devoid of its usual arrogant smirk. He glanced back, catching my eye for a fleeting moment. There was no defiance left, only a blank, defeated stare. The disastrous automated system was shut down, and the old, reliable manual system, with its human oversight and familiar quirks, was slowly brought back online. It would take weeks to untangle the mess, but at least the city was moving again. Update: it's been 3 weeks. Blake Carrington was officially fired for cause gross negligence and dereliction of duty, according to the internal memo. The mayor's office scrambled, pinning all the blame on him. He was escorted from the premises with a cardboard box, his name already a byword for corporate ineptitude within city circles. The Odyssey project was permanently shelved, its multi-million-dollar budget flushed down the drain. As for me, I received a substantial bonus for exemplary crisis management and was promoted to Director of Operations. My team got their PTO reinstated, with an extra week added for their trouble. Update 2 months later. The union won a massive settlement for the operators whose PTO was cancelled and those forced to use the buggy app. Blake is now facing multiple class action lawsuits from both MTS employees and the city for damages incurred during the service meltdown. Last I heard, he'd exhausted his legal funds and was rumored to have moved back in with his parents in some suburban McMansion development. Far from the public transportation he so spectacularly failed. The VP of Operational Synergy title is now permanently retired at MTS. Update 3, 6 months later. Life at MTS has settled into a comfortable rhythm. The old system, reliable as ever, keeps the city moving. My office environment is a little less grey, the air a little lighter. I even got a new, comfortable chair. A colleague sent me a link yesterday. Apparently, Blake Carrington tried to launch a disruptive app for on-demand luxury pet sitting. It failed to get off the ground, reportedly due to critical scheduling and logistics errors. Some things, it seems, never change. I'm currently on a well-deserved, fully approved 2-week vacation, enjoying the peace and quiet far away from any bus routes. The irony isn't lost on me.